How are you?
Yeah, good. I was just trying to get online, so I used my mobile and it let me in. So
Oh,
that's good.
fantastic. Yes, new, new devices and things like that. So yeah, I had a few emails to say, how does this work, and where's the link, and so on and so forth. So thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
Wonderful. So yeah, there's a few more people coming through. So I'm just letting them in now. Wonderful. And then we'll get started, I think. It's lovely to have you all here. I'm really happy to have you all here, and I'm really excited to be presenting this evening as well, because this is, I think, one of those topics that is very relevant, very relevant right now as we're going through another stage of lockdown. As we're going through another stage of changes and shifts and all of that kind of stuff, and so tonight I really do hope to be presenting you with some with some tools and some, not just tools and strategies, but something that you can actually action straight away and utilize immediately. One of the before I go into too much, but one of the common I guess complaints that I get when I do see a new client and they've been to therapists before is sometimes they can get stuck in the talking and not in the doing. So tonight I'd really like to get stuck into the doing, if that's all right with everyone.
Absolutely.
So let's see who else is on. Yay, Vanessa, welcome. Great to have you here.
Thank you for being gorgeous.
Yeah, you're so welcome. You're so welcome. And we're just about to get started, so thank you for being here. So I'm just going to share my screen, share my wonderfully presented slides that I spent some time creating, and then realised this morning, you know what? I'm probably not going to use them. Let's change it, huh? Let's start new. So we'll see how we go. We'll see how we go. You'll all get a copy of the slides anyway. So first and foremost, welcome. Welcome to this evening's masterclass. My name is Monika Polemicos, and I'm the co-founder of the Heart-Centered Network, host of this chapter of this masterclass series. I'm also a clinical hypnotherapist and psychology practitioner. I've had to update that last bit, psychology practitioner, to include so many of the modalities that I've been utilising and using in my practice, which represents what I do a bit more accurately. So welcome everyone, and part of my role as an anxiety specialist is to not only provide therapy one-to-one to business owners and to professionals who are experiencing stress and anxiety, but it's also about sharing those resources that are available to all of us that can be implemented straight away. So in terms of this evening and how this evening will work, if everyone can just pop themselves on mute just for now, and then if you've got a question, just unmute yourself and you can interject at any time. So we'll go through a quick round of introductions. I think we know each other here, but we'll just say hello and just check in as well with how everyone's doing as well. Then we'll go ahead and we'll do our heart centering meditation, which will leave us wonderfully relaxed and in our optimum learning state and ready to absorb. And then obviously I'll be presenting the masterclass on how to overcome professional anxiety. So in the first draft of this PowerPoint presentation, I had managing professional anxiety. I'm like, that doesn't sound right, managing. Let's overcome professional anxiety. That's way better. That's a way better aim. So, welcome. So, Donna, would you like to start us off and say hello and introduce yourself? So I'll just unmute you. Just a sec. No, I can't. You're going to have to unmute yourself. Oh, there we go. There we go. We got there. Hey, Donna.
Thank you. So I'm Donna, a holistic counsellor and coach, and I work with women doing women's personal counselling and coaching, and yeah, looking forward to being a part of Monika's upcoming anxiety relief handbook.
Yes, so Donna's one of our contributing authors and has, a whole wealth of experience and background in helping women overcome stress and anxiety and through many other elements of their life too. So it's great to have you here. Thank you so much, Donna.
Thank you.
And Vanessa. Let's see if I can unmute you. There we go. Hi.
Hi everyone, my name is Vanessa. I own a branding and design agency called Synced, and we help to unpack a business's personality and their ideal customer so we can translate that into their logo, their website, all of their collateral to make sure that their business and brand comes to life. And I absolutely love it. So it's just a very quick synopsis.
And Vanessa is wonderful at her craft. She actually she designed the Heart Centre Network and has done lots of things for the Heart Centre Network and for us. So highly recommended. Thank you, Vanessa. Leanne, would you like to come and say hello?
Yes. Oh, my video went off.
Yeah.
I don't know why that happened.
Yes. Yeah.
Here I am.
Welcome.
My business is Your Finance Angels, and I am a matchmaker between people who want finance and people who have money to lend.
Wonderful.
I do that for individuals and I do it for businesses as well.
And so is that for like products and services? What can you give us a snapshot of what that might look like?
Well, it might be somebody that's looking to buy a home, somebody who wants to refinance their mortgage, to consolidate debt or get a better rate, or somebody that's looking to access the equity in their property to either grow a business or grow their investment property portfolio. At the moment, I've got a new referrer and I'm doing quite a bit of self-managed super fund loans.
Ah, wonderful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Very wide and varied.
Thank you. And thank you so much for being here, Leanne.
You're welcome. Thank you for the invitation.
And Chris. Just trying to unmute you. Hello, Chris.
My apologies that you can't see my video, but I assure you I am here and present and paying attention. I assist female leaders to refine their message, to speak with influence, and to get the results that they're looking for. So I have been sort of morphing in the last few months, the last 6 months or so, and am currently rebranding and recreating what it is I do, but essentially I help women leaders.
Beautiful. And many great things to come from you, Chris. Chris is very talented, very knowledgeable, and highly experienced, and a very professional individual. And everything that she produces is just, wow, amazing. So if you get a chance to work with Chris, you won't be disappointed. All right, wonderful. Well, thank you everyone for that introduction. I'll get into me a little bit later. You'll hear a lot about me and what I do. But for now, let's commence our heart centering meditation. And so this heart centering meditation we do in our networking events, we do in our masterclasses, and it works twofold. well, it has actually many, many benefits. One, it's great to alleviate stress. It's also great to put you in a state where you're open to take in new information. And it also helps you connect with what it is that you've come here tonight to actually receive, to connect with yourself and the other people that are here virtually in the virtual room with us. So I'm just going to share some music. There we go. So you can just give me a thumbs up if you can hear that coming through. Wonderful. And so I'd just like to invite you now just to take a moment and you can close your eyes, you can leave your camera on or off, but just allow yourself to close and just to be present with yourself. Good, and just take a nice deep letting go breath. That's it, already beginning to relax and unwind. Wonderful. And then just observing and noticing yourself in the chair. Notice how it supports you, your back, your bottom, your feet on the floor. And really tuning in on the inside as you let go of all those things during the day and what there is to do. And just really returning to yourself. I'd like to invite you now just to place a soft few fingers on your heart. Just to remember your heart. And this further activates all those beautiful and lovely feelings that come with strengthening your heart and acknowledging. And then just surrendering to those lovely, lovely feelings. And just allow yourself to smile, increasing those feelings even more. That's right. And now just silently thanking whoever or whatever helped you get here this evening. And giving them a silent thank you. Or acknowledging yourself for making it and carving out the time for you. And now, before returning to full awareness, just taking a moment to ask yourself what it is that you'd really like to get out of this evening, out of this masterclass. Good. And then when you're ready, just moving your hands, moving your feet. Keeping that big smile on your face and returning your attention back to this masterclass. Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you all for participating, and welcome back. So now that we are in the optimum learning state, now we can go ahead and learn about overcoming professional anxiety. So I'm just going to share my screen again. And just let me know if you can see that or not. It's there. You can see the agenda. No. Okay. How about now? Nope. Okay. I'll just share that again. One sec. Okay. Good. All right. Wonderful. So I'm assuming it's all there now. Okay, fantastic. So this is what I had intended to cover. So a bit about me, you know, what is professional anxiety, what to do, and some therapeutic options moving forward, and obviously some resources that you can start to implement straight away. And so we will start, and I'll go through it a little bit, and then what I'd really like to do is get stuck into it and share with you a resource and something that you can actually use, that we can all do together, so that you can see and feel and notice the effectiveness for yourself of some of these different resources and tools that is effective with overcoming you know, stress and anxiety. So before we get into that, just a little bit about me. I've got a few degrees and qualifications, probably a little bit overqualified, but you know what, I've been able to utilise pretty much all of those in my current practice, and you know, and it's, you know, I guess that career that spanned over 20 years now that I've been doing this. So my early work as a social worker and as a counsellor and supervisor, and now working in private practice, I've you know, been able to develop my craft and develop you know, how I help people, and now is really, you know, now I have that mission to alleviate suffering, and I do that through various means, but you know, my most favourite way is to help business owners and professionals get calm, because it's you know, us business owners that, you know, I'm a business owner too, so there's an affiliation there, but you know, business owners at the ground level have such an impact in their community, in their families, and on a broader scale. It's a privilege to be able to help them explore that even further and grow even further, utilising all those skills and tools that I've developed over the years. And so I've been fortunate enough to be involved in many projects and collaborations and develop many programs. So, you know, Donna mentioned before that, you know, that should be part of the Anxiety Relief Handbook, which is a handbook that I'm putting together with other complementary therapists. We're just doing the finishing touches now on the Heart-Centered Network, Refining Business Success, another collaborative project. And you know, and like I said, had some involvement in developing all sorts of different programs over the years, including Body Beautiful, the Psychology of Client Attraction, and the Money Makeover Blueprint, and I think many others that I've forgotten as well to put in there. And so now I'm in that space where I can mentor and provide support with other therapists and coaches, which is another level of, you know, of reward within of itself, and do some fun stuff like, you know, writing books and, you know, hosting these masterclasses and things like that, and meet beautiful and people. And so, you know, going in and looking at what is professional anxiety, I think it's fair to say that everyone has experienced professional anxiety at some stage in their life, right? And, you know, there isn't a formal kind of diagnosis about what professional anxiety is. But when you think about it, everyone knows and has a concept of what that is. Yeah, whether it's your first day at work, if you can remember back at your first day on the job, and feeling a little bit like deer in headlights and not quite knowing what to do, or whether it was an interview or a deadline, or something happened at work that was traumatic, stressful, or even something good that really happened, like a promotion or something. Yeah. But then as soon as you got that promotion, then it started sinking in. Geez, what do I do now? Oh boy, now the work really begins. So I'd just like you to, right now, just reflect a little bit and think about a time when you felt stressed, when you felt anxious or overwhelmed at work. Whether it was, in a job, or whether it was you working in your own business. And just, think back to a time. Has everyone got, a time that they've got in mind? Yeah. So, if you think back, to what you were feeling and what you were thinking, and what that was like for you, and kind of tune in with what your body was doing, it's really quite clear on, what that stress and anxiety is, right? And how it feels, and what it sounds like in your head. Yeah. And so for everyone, it's different. There's some overlap, there's some things that are the same, but it is really a unique and personal experience, and everybody experiences anxiety differently and to different degrees. So if we consider what stress and anxiety prevents you from having, when we talk about professional anxiety, really what I see most is, people wanting to grow their business or achieve some level of success, and having this strong desire, having this internal urge to really want something. But then on the other side of that, having this resistance, or sometimes even a feeling like that nagging feeling in the pit of your stomach, that's kind of like dread, that makes you reconsider, do I really want this? Do I really want this next level if it comes with this dread, if it comes with this stress, if it comes with these feelings that I really don't want? And so when we talk about professional anxiety, we need to talk about having it. What does it prevent you from having? Does it prevent you from having that financial success that you want? Having the life that you want? Does it prevent you from, fulfilling those personal milestones? Does it prevent you from just being calm or like having a good day? Yeah. So I speak to so many people where anxiety has impacted their life so much that, all they want is they just want to have a good day. They just want to feel good for one day and not have to worry, and have the internal chatter, have the feeling in the stomach, running to the toilet. Yeah. So before we do death by PowerPoint, I'd like to stop here now and actually go through a technique with you, if that's all right with you. Would that be okay? So there are so many techniques available to overcome stress and anxiety, and it's one of those things that, because so much is available to us, that we don't actually need to live with professional anxiety. There are tools, there are things that we can use to overcome it and to achieve that next level for us, whatever it is, that is for you. And so what I'd like to share with you is a technique called the havening process. So who's heard of havening? Anyone? No? So havening came out of the success of EFT, emotional freedom technique. So emotional freedom technique is the tapping process, tapping on the meridians and the eye. It looks a bit funny, but it works. So havening came out of that process from the science that and research that came with EFT, because it was shown to actually dissipate the stress and anxiety from that visceral experience. So the actual stress in your body, right? The feeling, the gut churning, the spikiness, the irritation, the jumpiness, and has these wonderful and beautiful calming effects. And havening is able to produce delta waves. So delta waves is the brainwave that we see when we're actually asleep. But you're able to have that while you're awake during this process. So how cool is that? So I'd love for you to join in, and I'm going to go through and share with you how to do this. And for that, I just want to have, so make sure that you can all see me. So you can all see me and what I'm doing. Give me a thumbs up. Awesome. Thank you. Awesome. All right. So one of the main concerns and problems with talk therapy is that it only focuses on the mind. Yeah. And so when you can combine talk therapy with these other therapeutic approaches that address the visceral response and the actual feelings in the body, then you're on to a winner, right? Then it's a perfect match. So how this process will work is that firstly, I'd like you to select a time where you are stressed, or even something that is stressful or is causing you professional anxiety at the moment. So make sure it's specific. So it could be, I've got an upcoming presentation that I have to deliver, or a deadline, or something that is kind of, that you are concerned about. And then I want you to rate the severity, so how severe it is out of 10. So 0 being you're cool, calm and collected and it's no problem at all, and 10 is your worst nightmare and you're really panicked about it and you're really concerned about it. And so once you've got that, just put your hand up so I know that you've done that and that you've got something wonderful. And then this process is so simple. It's so simple. What we're going to do is that we're going to close our eyes and we're going to stroke our arms from the top of our shoulders on both sides all the way and firmly all the way down to our elbows. And we're going to keep doing that. All right. And then, so I will count 20. And then at that stage, you can open your eyes and I'll guide you through the whole process. And then we'll do something with our eyes. We'll be looking left to right 5 times without moving our head, keeping it nice and straight. And we'll do that 3 times. And then we'll check in and see how everyone's doing in terms of the rating. Cool? So let's go ahead and do the havening process. So closing your eyes. Wonderful. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Beautiful. Open your eyes and without moving your head, I want you to follow my finger. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Beautiful. And so we're going to do that again. And this time I want you to think of a lovely memory. A lovely memory. It could be you walking along the beach. It could be holding a loved one, but just some lovely and beautiful memory. As we close our eyes again and stroking from the top of the shoulder to the elbow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. And again, left to right. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then another pleasant memory as we go again, closing our eyes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Open your eyes and left to right again. We're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then just lean back and take a deep breath in and out. And now just checking in with that old thing. Checking in with that concern that you had earlier. And I want you to give that a rating now again. Give that a rating. Has it lowered? Has it stayed the same? And just taking note of, how do you feel in your body? I'm feeling calm. I know I'm ready to kind of like roll off my chair. I'm feeling really calm. So how did everyone go with that? I'd love to get a check-in. Anyone like to share? Just take yourself off mute. Really like to hear from you. How did you go? How did you find that?
That was really good.
Beautiful.
Obviously, with the heart meditation beforehand, I was calm. But when you start to talk about the stress and the anxiety, it all brought everything back up.
Yeah.
But doing that, it's like, oh, yeah, I feel good again.
Yeah. So what was your number before?
It was 5.
Yeah.
So I wasn't too stressed, but it is sort of getting me, a little bit stressed as the days go on.
Yeah.
But it's like, no, it's a 2 now. So it's good.
2. Wonderful. Beautiful. So, is this something that you feel like you could use and utilize yourself?
Definitely. That's so simple.
Isn't it? And so I think this is a perfect example of, you mentioned as soon as you start talking about anxiety, you start feeling anxiety, right? Yeah. And so having something that you can actually do in a physical way to reduce those physical symptoms is fantastic. So thank you so much for sharing. Anybody else like to share? How did you go with that? Just take yourself off mute.
Unfortunately, my internet died, so I missed the very end, but it did feel really good.
Yeah, wonderful. And so so was there a change in your number?
Oh, I didn't do that. Yes, there would have been. Yes.
Yeah. So what was it before and what was it after, if you had to give it a rating afterwards?
Afterwards, so now probably down to about a 2 or a 3.
Beautiful. Wonderful. So a few points?
Yeah.
Excellent. So the great thing about this is that, you can get it down to a level where it's manageable and you're kind of like, oh, good, I'm done with that. or you can actually repeat the process again, doing another 3 rounds of, another round of 3, stroking the arms and your eyes left to right, thinking about a positive memory or something that makes you feel good. And that number will work its way down until the desired level. So that's great. Thank you, Leanne. Thank you so much for sharing. So this technique, just to give you some background, is used for soldiers returning to war, PTSD. So it's been found to be effective for even the most, traumatic of experiences, and successful in treating and managing post-traumatic stress. So, it gives you an indication of just how useful some of these psychosensory processes are to just make you feel good, to just make you feel calm and settle those nerves and those feelings right down.
Is that sort of like that sort of hugging feeling? Is that sort of to stimulate, having that embrace? Is that what that's for?
Yeah, well, so the research indicates that there is a whole kind of process that's going on where that is kind of like mimicking, a hug from your mum, when you're a baby, releasing, all of those wonderful neurotransmitters and hormones that give you that really good feeling. But it's not it doesn't end there. It's not just about getting those good feelings. What it actually does is send signals to the brain, right, which change and kind of deactivate where those signals are located. So where is the stress located in the brain? So if you were to, for instance, take a brain scan of, someone thinking about that traumatic event and doing this afterwards and then scanning their brain afterwards, you'd see the changes in the brain, that those regions just aren't activated. So what is thought about this is that it's actually changing the neural pathways. So those old anxiety, stress, symptoms can't actually arise again, because you've kind of changed the map. You changed all the signs. Instead of going this way, and so the brain's confused and can't activate anymore, which is fantastic. You'll notice also the left to right with your eyes, and that's taken from EMDR, which is another process of desensitizing that is used in psychology too. So EMDR is a process where someone talks about their experience and does so in a very slow and calm way, whilst looking left to right, and that left to right with the eyes is activating different parts of the brain. So that trauma is then not localized just to one area, and again it causes a scramble in a good way. There's probably a more appropriate term that I could be using, but for now it's a scramble, a really good scramble. Wonderful. All right, well, thank you everyone. Chris, did you want to say anything? How did you go with that exercise?
Sorry. Thanks, Monika. Yeah, I found it really helpful. I went from 7 to 3. So
wonderful.
And it wasn't even something that I particularly thought about as haunting me until you said pick something that you feel anxious about. I found it great.
Beautiful. Fantastic. Thank you. So that sounds like everyone then had a reduction. Sonia, did you have a reduction too? Sorry. Donna? I said Sonia. I'm sorry. You're right there with your name. My apologies.
Sonia, no, that's fine.
I put the S in front of your name, and I made a new one up.
You combined my first name and surname, so it was very clever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I did. I went from a 7 to a 5.
Beautiful, beautiful. And so by repeating this, repeating this process, you can see how you can, gradually reduce.
Yeah.
Wonderful, fantastic.
Thanks.
So if we look at how professional anxiety occurs, there are many factors. Because often we think that, and the first thing that we think of is that there's something wrong with work, or there's something wrong professionally, right? So, you go into work, or you go to the office, or you go to, a client meeting, or what have you, and, there is something wrong there that's causing you concern. When the reality is that anxiety is not just in your head, a thought process. It's not just what you say to yourself, that inner dialogue, all the life experience that you bring. It's actually everywhere, and it can come from those different areas of your life, and those stresses can then impact how you work and how you are as a professional. So I have a very interesting anxiety story. Yesterday, I was like a headless chook. I was stressed out to the max, right? And I was trying to prepare. I was trying to put this PowerPoint together, but I had the Optus cable person arrive and do what they needed to do, right? So I had to make way for them. Couldn't use the internet. I had my husband who was working under the floors, in the ground, doing the stumps, and needed things to be given to him. I couldn't leave him down there. I had my child at home, needs to be fed, needs to be looked after. Yeah, so I had all these things. Then I had new clients calling, hey, can you work with me? And that's a really good thing, right? But I'm like, oh my God, more stuff. Yeah. And so I was feeling really overwhelmed. I was feeling really stressed. And you could tell, I was like, oh my God, the headache's happening, everything. And if I could tell you what specifically I was anxious about, I don't know, but it was just all at once. And it just happens to be that I was doing something work-related, like putting these slides together. But I mean, if you tell me to put slides together, that's not something that provokes anxiety, right? It's not typically something that you kind of like, oh, put slides together? No way, man. That's just, don't want to do that. Yeah? Really gets the fear going. No, it's sometimes it's all of these things that happen all at once and all together. And it's how we deal with it and how we approach it, and how we manage our time too. So these are the 4 elements and 4 dimensions of anxiety. That is, is how I explain anxiety to people. There's the inner dialogue, the self-esteem, what we think about ourselves and our life experience that we bring with us into the future, into the now as well. That expectancy of, well, if it's happened in the past, it's going to happen again. Yeah. Physiology as well. So it's funny doing this work, you really get to know people. You really get to know the concerns that they have and the worries and the way that they think. And often our physiology can be interpreted as anxiety. So I've got a beating heart. It's anxiety, I'm stressed. Or you're digesting something. Yeah. Oh, what's that? Oh my goodness, I'm stressed. Yeah. Or you have a health condition that just exacerbates everything. And so there is a stress in our physiology. So all of us, we've just had this experience, a few moments ago, of stress in our physiology just by talking about what's going wrong or anticipating a certain event. And so when we talk about resolution, we need to first acknowledge, where is the stress actually coming from? What are the thoughts that we're saying to ourselves? What are the physical, physiological sensations that we're having that are unpleasant, that we don't want? And what are the environmental factors that are at play here too? Is it just when you go into an office? Is it just when you talk to people? Is it a particular location? Do you work in a toxic environment? Whether it's toxicity because of people, or actually, you're inhaling smog or, particles that is having a reaction in your body and that is causing stress in your body. And then the fourth element that, doesn't get talked about and isn't acknowledged is the spiritual aspect of anxiety. And this is really where our sense of purpose comes into play. Yeah, when all of our physical needs are taken care of, what is left? What is that sense of purpose that we have that perhaps is not being fulfilled? What is our intuition telling us? What is that gut feeling? Yeah, that's where that comes from. The intuition is the gut. Where is that leading us? But cognitively we're pushing aside. So if that gets if you're not respecting and you're not listening to your intuition, then it's possible that that's a cause for anxiety, because it's like, what you need to do, but cognitively you're just going, oh no, I won't. I'll just push that aside. And then there's the love and the connection element as well. So without love and connection, we can feel stressed, anxious, and actually that actually is a major contributor to a lot of health conditions, is not connecting with ourselves and not connecting with other people as well, and not feeling love. So in the 40s, 1944, there was a USA study conducted in an orphanage. They split, put 20 babies in an orphanage, and only fed them, cleaned them, and gave them their basic kind of care needs. The caregivers were told not to hold them, not to make eye contact, basically deprive them of any love and connection. The babies in that experiment, half of them died. All of their basic needs were cared for, but they did not receive love and connection. And once the experiment was abandoned, the babies had to be rescued after 4 months. 2 more babies died. So this demonstrates that even though you have a job, you have a car, you have a husband or wife, you have all those things, all those nice things on paper, if you don't have love and connection, if you don't have a sense of purpose, if you don't respect yourself as a spiritual human being, and I don't mean a spiritual in terms of a religious context, there is the potential for you for that to come out in other ways, whether that be anxiety, whether that be depression, whether that be in abusing substances or some other way, or manifesting in physical illness, then it definitely needs to be highlighted that there is absolutely a connection there. So much so that anxiety-related disorders and physical illnesses have had so much research, on this topic, and how much they overlap and are interlinked. And there are so many medical conditions associated with anxiety. We're talking, those endocrine disorders, diabetes, thyroid, and a few other words that I can't pronounce. Gastrointestinal disorders, so we're talking IBS, ulcers, celiac disease, irritable bowel syndrome. Then we've got musculoskeletal disorders, fibromyalgia, chronic pain, arthritis, neurological disorders, migraines, epilepsy, cardiorespiratory diseases, and the list goes on. Chronic pain, burns, cancer, HIV, tuberculosis. All of these are correlated with anxiety. And so at first glance, you can be, forgiven to go, oh, it's anxiety is just about, the way that you think, and we've just got to get a positive mindset. Yep, that's going to help. Just a positive mindset, and come on, let's go. Yeah. And we've just got to, put on an Anthony Robbins tape, and all is well with the world. Okay. But really, we need to look holistically. We need to look holistically at anxiety and implement holistic measures and identify, where is the anxiety coming from? Is it coming from your psychology? Is it coming from your physiology? Is that where you're noticing it? Is it coming up in your physical health? Yeah, in your environment? Or is there something missing? Is there something missing from your life? So when we look at how anxiety actually arises and comes up, there's various different ways. There's the Big Bang, right, which is some sort of sensitizing event, some sort of trauma. It's like, oh, wow, it's a losing a contract. Yeah, it's all of your, recently, all of your clients pulling out, going, oh my God, there's a crisis. Yeah. It's promotion as well. So, or some sort of offer too, that it's kind of like, yes, I got this, but oh geez, what now? Yeah. So when I was working as a child protection worker, myself and a housing worker colleague of mine, we had to do a welfare check on this client that I was very concerned about, who had struggled with alcoholism for some time. And when we opened the door, we discovered that she had actually passed away. So my colleague ran out screaming and left the building. And I'm like, what's she screaming about? And then I looked in, I went, oh, okay. Yeah, it was quite clear that she had passed away. And I share this story because, this was a big bang, and it was a sensitizing event, and it was enough for my colleague to quit her job, to move on, and it had left a scar, yeah. And she found herself saying, "I just, you know what? I'm too old for this. I can't do this kind of work anymore. It just gets to me." And for me, I had been in that role a lot, not in that role, but I was working in social welfare for about 15 years at the time, and although I was, panicked and stressed and having to call those emergency services to attend and coordinate everyone, right? I have to call my team lead, I have to call the police, I have to call, I have to go downside, make sure the medical team is, coming up and to the room and it was something that after that time I was actually able to manage and come to terms with. This event was actually something that I had predicted that would happen, unfortunately. And so for me, I was able to rationalize, but I was able to put the points together and go, you know what, I worked with this lady and I did the absolute best that I could. Yeah, did the absolute best that I could, and I don't know what else I could have done any differently to help her. I called the services before that. I organised, I coordinated, and sometimes these things just happen. And so when a big bang happens, that energy and the trauma, can stay pent up in the body, and it can stay pent up, or over time it can kind of dissipate if no other stress comes along. So when I work with clients, they often tell me that they have many incidences that have occurred, many sensitizing events, and sometimes in very close succession. So 3 years ago this person passed away, and then my parent was diagnosed with cancer, and then my partner left or passed away, or something really significant happened, or a parent died, or what have you. And all of those events are really significant in a person's life, and can take some time to resolve on their own. Take some time, take some healing. When those events happen together and in quick succession, it doesn't allow the body to recover. And so, you've heard of that fight and flight response. That becomes your default setting. Yeah, that just becomes activated just like that. Car door slams. Oh, okay. And so how I work with people there is to actually resolve those events at the core level, using various kinds of techniques, but you really do need to get to that core level and find out what emotions were there to actually release that. That's the kind of thing where I say, leave it up to the professionals because there's so much trauma there that's occurred. Another kind of trauma, professional anxiety rather, is the sneaky stress, right? So this is the sneaky stress that is cumulative stress, that is probably is the low level persistent stress. So, you get email after email after email, and an email isn't really scary, right? But when every email is got a deadline in there, then it's kind of upping the ante, right? And it's persistent. So persistent being it's every day, or it's constant, or it's, there's no kind of relief. There's always, something has always got a thumb pressing down on you somewhere. Yeah, it's that kind of stress. If you look at any one of these things individually, you go, well, what's it a stress about getting an email, right? What's that? Everyone gets emails, right? But when it's consistent and persistent, and you don't know quite what to do with it, then it can accumulate. Yeah, so it becomes cumulative. So in 2005, the Children, Youth and Families Act had to actually update and change the Child Protection Act, the legal act, to include cumulative harm in recognition of small bits of harm, happening on a frequent basis, causes harm to a child or a young person. And so that actually happens with us too as adults. Low persistent stress over a period of time, over a long period of duration, can cause professional anxiety, can cause a panic attack to arise out of nowhere, and you're like, what just happened there? But you know what? There was a lead up 6 months ago, every day. Yeah, and this is the sneaky stress is the straw that broke the camel's back. Yeah, one little thing just tipped everything off, right? And another type of stress is been there, done that. And what that is that when you have a predisposition to anxiety, so you already have like a diagnosis of anxiety, whether it be social anxiety, a specific phobia, panic disorder, generalized anxiety, a history of post-traumatic stress or OCD, and you actually bring that into the professional and environment, and it exacerbates and flares up within that environment. I've mentioned ACEs there. ACEs stands for Adverse Childhood Experiences. So the ACEs study was a massive study, brilliant study. And essentially the outcome of that study said that the more adverse childhood experiences that you have, the more likely for you to end up sick and have an early death, to be or to experience a mental illness, to have cancer, to all sorts of unpleasant things. To have difficulties in your relationship and interpersonal problems. And so the early childhood experiences, again, is something that in my practice I actually delve into, because if you've got, the more of those that you've got, the more likely you are to struggle as an adult in some way, shape or form, and have reduced life expectancy, like pretty, significant. It's pretty significant. So is there anything, so if you can take yourselves off mute, I just want to check in with everyone how they're doing, and see, is there anything, or is there anything that that I haven't covered here in terms of, is there an experience that wasn't a big bang, that just kind of happened, or any experience in your life that you'd like to share that maybe does or doesn't reflect these three types. All covered? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How's everyone feeling? How's everyone? I just want to check in how you guys all doing, hearing all this. I mean, we were talking about anxiety a lot. What are your comments and feedback and insights at this moment?
Absolutely fascinating. And obviously just sort of going through the sneaky stress. I mean, I've got 3 little kids, they're absolutely amazing, but just the constant bickering or the this and that, like the everyday things that happen. I can see how the accumulative stress of when I just sort of go, that's it, I've had enough of the day, how that happens. It's really interesting how you've got that sort of laid out. It's cool.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thanks for that. Donna, anything that you'd like to share? Reflection?
Yeah, I really loved it. And you touched on a lot of the studies I've done with babies, and sort of your birthright to, from when they're born and when they're little, how that affects you when you're older, with your birthright to be loved and to need and to, be wanted and all of those sort of things, and the ramifications that come later on for you to sort of deal with that later on, with, getting cancer and getting, physical side effects later on. So yeah, I really enjoyed your talk on that. Honestly, I'm feeling tired because I didn't sleep last night. But aside from that, I'm very engrossed in your talk. I love it. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Wonderful. Chris, is there anything that you'd like to share or reflect?
Yeah, it's so interesting that there is a sorry, you can't hear me.
Sorry, if you can just speak up a little bit more.
Yeah. Is that better? Is that better for you guys?
Just a little bit more.
Hopefully that'll be better. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. So I find it really interesting that there is a type of stress that leads to, like, there are many different types, what you've described, that low level constant stress, or the trigger event, the big bang, because it kind of explains where we're at as a global population in terms of there being, like, anxiety and stress being at record levels. Like the World Health Organization have declared it as an epidemic, because it's so prevalent. And so when you think about all the experiences we either had as a child or have had throughout our lives that could possibly contribute to anxiety, it's far easier to see how it could be so prevalent within society.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And here's the here's the thing. It is different for everyone. So for someone who's been through so many things in their past, so many adverse childhood experiences and events, it's still possible that they can have a beautiful, healthy, and fulfilled life. So it's not a guarantee that, yes, you're definitely going to have anxiety or some sort of mental illness or depression or, those adverse effects later on. But it certainly is, a possibility if you don't actually come to terms with and deal with the past and deal with those events and actually make sense of it. And so, part of my practice and what I do is helping people to make sense of the past, to make sense of it, because when we experience a significant event, we produce, there's a chemical signature in our body, that produces an emotion. And that emotion we can name, whether it's fear, whether it's anger. It's really angry that person did that. Whether it's, some sort of offense, like I'm really hurt by that. They said X, Y, Z, and that really hurt me. That emotion that we have in our body creates a physiological link to that event. And it actually helps us remember that event. So when we think about an event, we also acknowledge and feel those kind of same sort of sensations if that event hasn't been resolved. We can still feel, that time my mum took away my baby Miss Piggy doll, true story, and I was so angry because she brought back a Barbie, and I was like, what have you done? I don't want a Barbie. I wanted the baby Miss Piggy doll, right? And so you have this emotional, response to that event that makes that event so crystal clear in your mind. The thing is that, we can have memories of events in a very different way. And it's through the process of identifying what that event meant to us, and what we could actually learn about ourselves through that moment in terms of our values, in terms of our strengths, in terms of our who we are as a person. Then when we're able to identify that, there's no need to have the emotion anymore. There's no need to hang on to it, because now we have a different kind of memory, a different interpretation that helps us reflect onto the past. So we've now gone from holding on to the memory with emotion, and now we can reflect on what's happened by remembering who we are as people. And so I take people through that process, and it's absolutely amazing. It's why I keep showing up day and day and day after day, and work with people to help them relieve and release those emotions, because it's just such a beautiful thing to watch and witness that, someone who has been sad and living in grief for 40 years after their son or daughter passing can actually let go of that sadness and grief and go, oh, wow, isn't that nice to be free of that and to no longer hold on to that emotion, and to now just love the person and the experiences that I had with that person. And so to bring this back to when we look at anxiety, anxiety is also an emotion. It's linked back to that fear response, that fear emotion. And so if someone's experiencing anxiety time and time again, whether it be professional or otherwise, we really need to get to and understand, well, what are those events in the past where you've experienced fear? You know, what are those big bang events? But then what are also those little kind of sneaky stress events that, you know, where you got a jolt of fear, like, oh yeah, kind of thing. And then to be able to actually make sense of that and apply new strategies. And that's really where hypnotherapy comes in, to help, you know, I'm not going to say recondition, to give you a new way of thinking, so that you don't have to kind of struggle to come up with, you know, how do I think now if I'm no longer thinking like the in the old way? How do I think the new way? And so there's lots of suggestions that, you know, that I give in terms of, you know, helping to remember you, and to remember all of those wonderful resources of actually who you are, whether that's, you know, that you're confident and strong and resilient and, you know, beautiful on the inside. And in fact, I did a whole list for someone today that I worked with, and it was wonderful. You know, I'm lovable, and, you know, all of these beautiful things that they had identified, I then, you know, put back into a hypnosis session for them, so they can listen to it every day. Alrighty. So where are we? So when we look at overcoming professional anxiety, there's so many things to look at, right? There's so many techniques, there's so many things that, you know, we have just got so many things that we can utilize. But again, it does come back to identifying, you know, and meeting the problem where it lies. So for instance, you know, is the anxiety being exacerbated by your thinking? You know, my goodness, we're in lockdown again. I can't go and get toilet paper. What am I going to make for the kids? And, you know, are my clients still going to come in? And da, da, da. So, you know, is that professional anxiety coming from your psychology? Is it coming from all the chatter in your head? Is it just arising in your body, in your physiology? You know, or is it happening with, you know, the people that you're actually interacting with? Are you getting a bit of cabin fever? You know, is it toxicity from your environment, or is it that the history that we talked about before, is that actually, you know, catching up with you, and everything's kind of blending into one, right? And then of course there's the spiritual elements. So looking at, you know, are you fulfilling your goals? Yeah, are you actually working towards something? Are you feeling fulfilled, like generally speaking? Like, you know, are you finding time for fun? Do you feel like life is good? And so to be able to move from that professional anxiety, and really anxiety in general, we need to be able to find a bridge between where we're at and the solution. And you know, some of the things that I see is the old emotion and the old thinking that needs to be eliminated totally. Yeah. And what we need to do there is actually implement a new strategy, a new way of thinking, a new way of, you know, being with your body, right? And the thing is that sometimes you don't need therapy at all. Yeah. Sometimes you just need to rest. Sometimes you just need to do nothing. We've become such a busy world that we've forgotten what it is to rest, you know. when lockdown first started, remember, we're talking about, oh, this is such a great opportunity to learn a new skill and to, get some guitar lessons, and then to, we're also going to write a program, and we're going to expand our business, and where's the rest? So rest is just as important as anything else, because it's during that time of rest that you allow your body, your mind, your spirit to recuperate for the next moment, for the next chapter, for the next moment, of your life. And so, I see, when people are experiencing burnout, they want to do something, they feel like they can't because they're, I've got so much to do, but they're simply not being effective because they're burnt out, yeah? And so rest is important there, a holiday. And, it doesn't mean a holiday you have to fly anywhere or go in the car, but it's a holiday from whatever that you're doing, so that you can regain, your that positive psychology back, so that you can get rest in your body, so that you can do what needs to be done to remove yourself from that anxiety-provoking environment. Maybe it is getting a new job. Maybe it is getting someone significant in your life. Maybe it is telling, certain friends not to bug you or come over and say, well, I just can't do this anymore, sorry. Or maybe it is about, reflecting on, well, right now it's not working out, for me, or I'm not enjoying things. What would be beneficial for me? What could I do that's just a little bit more fulfilling and fun? What is that next step for me? So any questions so far? Just pop up your hand or undo, mute. Wonderful. We're almost at the end. These are some of the do's. Essentially, if you are experiencing professional stress, don't let it stop you from moving forward. Because, you achieving your goals and striving for your goals is a fantastic anchor to pull you forward and to promote you looking in the future at what you'd like to achieve. It's when you don't have any goals in the future, all there is the past and today. And that for some people can be depressing, it can be anxiety provoking, or it can be kind of a feeling of like just floundering and just nothingness. So keep going. I mentioned before about acknowledging your strengths and your values. You can do that at any stage, on a daily basis, if possible, reminding yourself who you are, accepting how you feel in the present moment, just acknowledging, like, oh, I'm feeling a little bit, butterflies in the tummy. Yeah, that can that just simply acknowledging can actually help bring everything down, because you're accepting that this is just how it is right now, and you're not trying to change it. You're not trying to force into something else. It's just going, yep, all right, thanks for that. Yep, I got those butterflies. The heart's beating a little bit fast. Whew, okay, yep, there it goes. And just accepting that that's what's happening. And then we've talked about rest in terms of, taking a rest from that stressful environment and helping yourself to recover. So these are some of my favourite things. These are some of my favourite therapy techniques that work, and these are some of these techniques that will be part of the Anxiety Relief Handbook, because they work, because they're so effective, and many of them you can implement yourself. So hypnotherapy, I mentioned, is extremely relaxing for starters, so it's lovely and dreamy to be part of. It supports reconditioning the way that you think about yourself, and assists with kind of jump starting that behavior modification. So instead of relying on willpower, hypnotherapy can strengthen those skills and get you going a lot quicker. So you might be familiar with the 30-day or 28-day rule for installing new habits. Hypnotherapy can promote that in a much faster and quicker time. Number 2 is acceptance and commitment therapy, which I mentioned before. It's accepting and acknowledging how you feel in the present moment. EFT, emotional freedom technique called tapping. So there's an app that you can get and download that for free, and that is the tapping solution. So if you want to email me later, send me your requests, and I'll send you through a link to that. So EFT works on releasing emotions from those meridian points, and we have lots of meridian points throughout the body. A great one, which isn't, which a lot of people don't know about, is actually squeezing the tips of your fingers like that, so that you've got meridians there. So often people with who use EFT can kind of feel a little bit, if they're out in public and they're doing all this tapping, they can feel a little bit self-conscious, yeah. But if you're just doing this on your fingers, right, and squeezing those fingertips, it can be very discreet. So another good tool. Havening, number 4, which we experienced earlier, and you got to see how you automatically reduce that stress level, the units of distress down. CBT, cognitive behavioural therapy, is a fantastic tool to help bring your thoughts into line with how you actually want them to be. So I use this. There's a technique and a tool that I share with my clients in conjunction with hypnotherapy and a few other tools to ensure that psychological component, that you're constantly challenging those thought processes and making sure that you're on track. Vagus nerve activation. So the vagus nerve is responsible for sending signals, from the stomach to the brain to the rest of the body. Most of our serotonin is produced in the stomach. So and so that's obviously an important component of well-being and happiness. But if we're looking at professional anxiety and what to do in the moment, singing and humming can actually stimulate the vagus nerve. So just doesn't even have to be in tune, or singing and singing as often as you can actually interrupt that fear activation, that stress response, and send out those signals that, hey, everything's good, everything's right with the world, right? Because birds don't sing when they're under attack, do they? Birds sing when they recognize that everything's all good, they're safe, and so on. And then there's also one of my favorites, number 7, is timeline therapy, which helps to release those stuck emotions from the past, utilizing a strengths-based approach and allowing you to hold on to your strengths and let go of emotions. So that is where we're now at the end of our this masterclass. So thank you for all of your contributions, and I'd just like to open it up now. You can take yourselves off mute for questions, comments, and feedback.
That was awesome, Monika. Thank you for that. That was really,
very,
really
very
great.
welcome. Thank you.
And I know I've experienced the hypnotherapy with you, and that timeline one, absolutely phenomenal, so powerful. So yeah.
What did you like or appreciate about that, having experienced it yourself? You don't have to go into any detail in terms of details, but in terms of the outcome.
The time, I mean, when we did our work, that not only did I get insights that went, oh my God, you know, I was viewing a particular circumstances with like venom, but when we unpacked it, I was like, oh, actually there is no venom there. What I can take from it is phenomenal. Like, it's huge. And then when we sort of went back in the timeline and we just sort of unpacked, it was just like, I just started to get lighter as we were going further back. We were unpacking it all. So it was fantastic. So thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing. And sometimes it's hard to, you know, sometimes it's hard to kind of articulate what, you know, how that process works. But I think you've, you know, demonstrated that wonderfully, in that you had this emotion, you were able to let go of that, and in its place you had some understanding, you know, about yourself, and something that, you know, actually made you feel lighter and with the whole thing. So thank you so much. Thank you, Vanessa. Any other, you know, questions, comments, or feedback? Any reflections from tonight? What did you learn? I'd really love to hear.
Monica, it's Chris. Thank you very much. It was really, really informative, very insightful. I think I know a couple of people that could probably use the havening process.
Yeah.
So if you have any online resources that you could direct us to, that would be like an app, like you said.
Yeah.
I've just downloaded actually the EFT app.
Excellent.
But if you have any for havening, that would be great as well.
Cool. Will do.
I've got a friend in Sydney that I think could really benefit from that.
Thank you.
But yeah, fantastic. Really, yeah, very informative. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And Leanne, would you like to share what did you like the most?
Technique as well. I've not come across that before, and I thought it was amazing.
Yeah, and it's just so easy. It's you can use it anywhere, and is effective. You can see it working straight away. So thank you so much all for your comments, your feedbacks, and also your insight. And I'd like to pass on some thank you gifts, and thank you all for being here this evening. So I'd like to pass on, you know, the recording, the slides. I have a 7-minute beach escape recording, which is a meditation. Really, it's a hypnosis. You know, typically hypnosis, you know, you listen to a recording and it could be 15, 20 or half an hour, you know, long. With this beach escape, I've made it, you know, really quick, that you can actually listen to it during the day and just get that little bit of a reset, that little bit of calm back in, so that, so that provides you with a mini holiday, mini break. So there's also the EFT app. I've got a link to the havening process that I've recorded as an audio to actually guide you through, so that you can, you know, listen to it and do it, so that you don't have to kind of remember the steps. And obviously, you know, like, I mean, I don't have an offer or anything like that, you know, for you this evening. I work, you know, case by case basis, and I appreciate that everybody's different, and so there's no kind of package or anything. But I would invite you to share, you know, my email and jump on a 30-minute complimentary consultation if, you know, professional anxiety is something that you experience, or, you know, if you're at that stage where you're wanting to grow your business and you're encountering some of those blocks and stresses that, you know, are signs that you're actually headed in the right direction, but you still don't want to experience or feel or feel those, you know, signs and symptoms. So yeah, please feel free to email me and request a complimentary consultation, and I'll be able to offer you some, you know, some resources or some guidance or some work later on. And if you've liked, you know, some of the stuff that we've, you know, covered tonight and want to know more and what else is out there, then feel free again to email me, and I can put you on the list to pre-order the Anxiety Relief Handbook, which is due to be launched in February of next year. So thank you so much, everyone, for being here. I'm going to just pop my email in the chat to everyone so that you can copy that. And yeah, if you'd like any of these gifts, just send me an email with the one that you would like, or if you'd like all of them, that's totally fine too, and I'll send them across to you. So thank you so much, everyone, for being here, for listening, for joining in. It was a pleasure, hosting this evening. And next month we are hearing from Samantha Jansen Publishing on how to actually build your business with a book. So that will be on August is next month, isn't it?
Yes.
That will be, I think it's the 5th. The 5th. I didn't say that very confidently. It's going to be on the 5th. Wednesday, the 5th of August at 6:45. And the link will be available on Eventbrite again. So please register through there. And then I'll probably just end up sending you the Zoom link. So let me know when you've registered, okay? Make sure that you're there. All right, wonderful. Thank you so much, everyone. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye for now, and hope to see you next week.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you so much. Bye.
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 Bye.